What's up guys, Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and today, well, we got a tricky one for you. This right here is the Lone Gaze, and we just got to the difficulty, and it gets pretty tricky. Now, the reward structure ends up being pretty good once we get up to here. All these rewards on the line are really awesome, and I've been able to get a pretty good rank considering usually I'm in like the 10 to 20 range on my server because there are some megalodons on it. This time we are doing pretty solid. Now, the main goal here is all about positioning and what heroes you have. Odie is going to be the best damage dealer for this boss, hands down, which is part of the reason why we're actually running the Crescent spell. This one, of course, does the big old Spirit Bomb, which we're going to highlight in a video later this week. It gives attack, HP, and defense penetration. It seems to be the best one that I've tried so far. I've tried like every combination of them. But if you're pushing like endgame content, this is what you want to run. We're also going to go over in the second half a free-to-play strategy that uses things like light heal spell and things like that. But this is what I've come up to be the strongest thing, and there's a big reason for that, and that is because he leaps at the furthest back target, and a lot of the strategies need to make it so that he survives the most. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to use our Rainier, that's Mythic Plus of course, to get that 25% damage bonus. We're not going to be swapping like Coco. We're going to actually be swapping him because he's going to give him 25% more damage reduction. And on top of that, at Mythic Plus, we are going to be using Thorn as well. He's going to be taking 50% of the damage Odie takes. And the whole point here is to make sure Odie survives through all the wolves. So I'm going to show you guys what I found to be the best for mine, and then I'm going to tell you guys about some options you do to help with your team survivability, because keeping the Odie alive as long as possible is your end-all be-all goal. That's why Smokey, and that's why our Mythic Plus Coco is just so good. And you'll notice the wolves are going after the Rainier first. That's really good. We actually don't mind the Rainier being the one being targeted. We just want to make sure that our Odie is in the safest spot in our formation. Now, if you don't have Rainier, we'll talk about some options that you can do with that too. But this right here has been my best damaging setup so far. Just running a single damage dealer. We're not running the Corrin. We're not running a Merrily. We're not running any other heroes in combination. The whole goal here for me to get my best score is keeping that hero alive. So we did lose the Odie kind of early. That might hurt, but you will see as time goes on, your heroes are going to die, and that's just the way that this wolf actually works. The longer you keep your Odie alive, the better. See right there, we almost got the 40% again. We did high roll just a little bit with our Smokey in the previous run, but as you guys can see, this is pretty much the Odie show here. We're doing everything possible to get this damage number, and you can see the difference of them living just like one more round there is a huge difference in percentage. We almost hit 50% on our best attempt today. I've tried Shakir, I've tried a bunch of different combinations, but this one right here has simply worked the best for me. So I want to show you guys what it looked like. However, remember, with Lone Gaze, there is a lot of RNG dependent on this fight to see if your heroes can survive. One bad hit on one of your heroes could take them to zero, because a lot of times you're left with a sliver of HP left on some of these heroes. So if the timing is just a little off, that can be a huge negative for you. So I'll show you guys what it looks like here normally. And let's see if we can actually set ourselves a new record, or at least get close to that 50% we pulled before. Again, Rainier goes down right there. That's just going to happen. It looks like Smokey is the next furthest back unit. And you can see right there, he went down again. We want to keep him alive for one more round, because once they start dying, the Lone Gaze just goes absolutely crazy. But I found that this is my best strategy, just keeping the team alive as long as possible. You see we had 10 more seconds. That is a big difference. If we can keep everybody alive just a little longer, that helps a ton. But that has been pretty much the setup I've been using, and that's how I got my RNG, my luckiness, and it got me the W. But what would you guys use if you are free to play? So I will say, like, positioning of these heroes is actually really key in a lot of these scenarios. Making sure that they go down in the proper order is very important, because of the fact that he will leap to those targets and do the damage if they're the furthest away. That's kind of the big key here. However, there are some things you can do that this team can't quite do. So number one, if you don't have Thorn with the Mythic Plus, you're probably just going to take him out of the lineup. Same with Rainier. If you don't have the Mythic Plus, those two are going to go away. Either way, as free to play, running Smokey and running Coco, even if again they don't have their Mythic Plus, are very, very useful. Continuing to use your Odie, again, a really good play. However, you're going to want to position him in a way that he is not the furthest back hero. Now, one hero, even after the changes in bosses to true damage in these lower difficulties, Corrin can be absolutely amazing. He can actually help prevent some of your heroes from dying by giving them the shield that they use, and there's a couple other heroes you can use for support that can help as well. If you do have someone like a Haywin with Mythic Plus, which some people have built a very heavy Wilder team, that damage reduction can help in tandem with these other heroes. Another hero that can actually be very, very useful for a couple different reasons can actually be Lucius. One thing you really have to pay attention to this season are the season buffs, because there are certain things that give haste that can actually manipulate the battle and the order of actives and ultimates and everything very, very much. Beyond that, he has the ability to shield allies, keep them alive. That can be a huge, huge help. Beyond that, though, I haven't found too many really great heroes. You can always go with the tried and true Shakir, but again, Shakir's another one where really he starts showing and popping off once you do get him to Mythic Plus. If I had to go for like my most base version of a team setup right here, it would probably look something along the lines of this. I would probably have something like this in here. Still using the Thorin, even if he's not even if he's not linked up or anything, because he's going to be able to increase the damage the enemies take. He's got a lot of really cool abilities. This can be a very solid team if you do have a strong enough Kruger. Again, that defense down can help out if you're using some more heroes that are doing normal physical damage and not magic damage. So there's a lot of flexibility, but for me, the best thing I've found personally has been doing the swap like this, making sure Odie is connected right here, linked up, making sure the Rhynier is also swapping, so having to have him in the very back spot is very, very important. Trying to put these other heroes a little further forward. Let's do one last attempt. Let's see if the different positioning just by a little bit can actually get us a better end goal here, because if I can get a new record, that would be awesome. But I literally high rolled the heck out of it with this team, and it's really important just keeping your heroes alive. One additional round of this Howl and Wolf Slaughter and everything, it is very, very important to get the timing of especially Coco's abilities to line up perfectly to make sure that they have the shield. And again, you notice how the positioning there really, really matters. That time the Smokey is the one that took the hit and not the Rhynier. That is definitely not what we want, because we want to make sure we're keeping these heroes alive as long as possible. Mainly the Odie, because again, as the damage goes on, as he kills more targets, that's going to mean that they power up, he kills targets faster, and that's the big downside. So RNG will play a big factor in this one. But the swap on the Odie and everything seems to be one of the better strategies for what I've seen, and it's been working pretty well. You can see right here, the damage is still not catching up, and there's a lot of RNG to just keep that one hero alive. If for some reason this is not working well for you, the other thing you can consider is just simply swapping artifacts around. So let's go back to our original positioning here of our heroes to make sure they're going in a certain order. Quick Blade spell can help with the physical and magic defense. However, you're not really needing that physical damage reduction as much. I would probably go with the Light Heal spell to try it out, just because it can be really, really solid. So let's see if the extra defense on our team will actually help keep our heroes alive. Swapping the Odie does keep him very safe for quite a while. However, keeping the other heroes alive too is very important, just so the boss doesn't get that ramping up buff for when an enemy dies. We want to try to keep these heroes alive as long as possible. We don't want to lose any of them in the first couple howls that he does, with all these wolves just coming around everywhere. And so far we're holding on pretty well. That was actually a really good setup right there, and you can see how just the change in an artifact can make a huge difference in the way the battle is going. And sometimes it might not be the better damaging artifact, but if it keeps your heroes alive longer and there's time left on the timer up the top, that can be a huge roll. We did again lose that Smokey. I kind of want the Rhynier to be the first target, but you can see right here we're already to the amount of damage we had in the previous attempts, and this is going to be a huge boost in the total amount of damage just because we're able to keep these heroes alive just a little bit longer. Hopefully Coco can get her shield, her damage reduction up real quick. She does get it up. We do lose one more target, but we're closing in on 40%, which is pretty good. And this is where the boss is just going to get out of control. We actually lasted to the time and we got a better score. However, if we're talking about high rolling and going for that perfect setup, then yeah, sometimes you need to mess with the locations of your heroes and with the artifacts of your heroes, because this didn't work out exactly how I wanted to. Usually this, I feel like, is one of the better setups. I'm just addicted to trying to get the best score possible. I need to make sure not to use all my attempts up today, because as the day goes on, your team is going to continue to power up, and that is a very important thing to wait. Hold off, save some attacks for the end of the day right before reset, because that's when your account is going to be strongest, is right before reset. Let's see, one more try here. Can we get this done? All right, Ryanair took the big hit, but he instantly healed back, which was awesome. Smokey is doing his damaging aura now, which is going to help our damage output, which is usually why he's the better pick than like a Haywin or something like that. There goes the Ryanair. So yeah, the Ryanair going down first is kind of the ultimate goal for us here. Oh no, the Smokey also died in that one. That one is not good then. Oh, and then the team is getting picked apart. So yeah, you can kind of see there's still 15 seconds left. We might get a couple more hits, but these wolves are going to come in the wolf pack and just kill us. So try to manipulate your team as much as possible. If you're going to the end of the battle and your heroes aren't dying, then you can go more offensive. And it's just playing this game to try to get the best score possible. So I wanted to try one additional thing here, and that is the fact that maybe I've been doing a lot of different formations, but one thing I've been pretty much always doing is swapping the Odie. And honestly, I'm wondering if I should try swapping somebody else so that the Odie maybe is targeted a little bit early on, and something like this is done instead, where we go and we swap the Coco to kind of keep her safe, and that way the Odie is going to be potentially one of the ones further back in the formation after the Ryanair goes down. So let's do this right here. That way he's actually taking that additional damage, and maybe he's able to tank and keep the other hero units alive even more, and maybe that'll help us kind of not need as much RNG in this, because again, I pretty much got my 50% score with Odie being very RNG dependent with keeping the other heroes alive. But if he's linked up and he's the furthest target back, then he might get targeted by these wolves, and then that might actually end up in a better result. So let's see what happens in this scenario. It would be awesome if he does tank most of those wolves with that 50% damage reduction. It just sucks that you can't do both. And yeah, having that Smokey, we might need to put the Smokey a little bit further forward in the formation then, and really try to keep Odie in the back, because right there Odie did stay alive, and that is really big, because that means our other heroes are still tanking in the front. And again, you're missing out on the 25% damage reduction from Ryanair, but that might not be the most important thing right here. Yeah, see, the link still happens, so even if you do change the position and not like swap him, a lot of it is still going to come down to RNG, the timing of your abilities and keeping your heroes alive. I really wish we get 50% here today, but you know what? I'll take top 6. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time.